The air compressor kicked once, then again, short, metallic coughs echoing off the cinder block walls of my brother's garage. The sound didn't fit the memory I'd carried. Mom's old sedan, quiet as a sigh, parked under that sycamore in her driveway back when she was alive. Now, it was here, its dented fender reflecting the flicker of a fluorescent tube that hummed like a bad secret. I stood by the doorway with my hands half buried in my jacket pockets, trying to decide if knocking mattered when you'd already seen too much. The smell of oil and coolant hung heavy, and beneath it, a faint sweetness, vanilla air freshener. The same one Mom always clipped to the vent. My name's Evan, 37, HVAC tech, oldest of two. Mom died last spring. Ryan, my younger brother, said he'd sold her car to cover the last round of hospice bills. I didn't argue. Grief makes paperwork blur together. I'd signed what he sent, wrote him a check for my half of the cost, and tried not to think about it again. That was 5 months ago. And yet here it was, the car. The beige Corolla with the faded parking sticker from St. Mary's Church, sitting behind his tool chest like an old photograph that refused to stay buried. The visit. Ryan lived on the edge of town, near the lumberyard, one of those squat ranch houses with a sagging porch and a motion light that blinked even when no one moved. I told myself I was stopping by to drop off the title paperwork that finally came from probate. Truth was, I'd seen a shape through his half-open garage door the week before while delivering an order nearby. The sun hit a curve of metal I knew by heart. He didn't hear me at first. The compressor cycled off, leaving a hollow quiet. When he turned, the wrench in his hand froze midair. "Hey," I said, as evenly as I could. "Didn't mean to interrupt." He blinked, then wiped his hands on a rag that used to be one of Dad's old shirts. "Evan, what's up?" I pointed, just once. "Thought you sold it." He followed my gaze to the car, then back to me. A half second too long passed before he said, "Oh, that. Yeah, it's, temporary. Guy backed out last minute. I'm fixing it up again before relisting." "Right." The word came out brittle. I stepped closer. The hood was dusted but not untouched. Someone had wiped it recently, leaving palm-shaped swirls. The license plate still had Mom's expired sticker. A brittle leaf clung to the windshield wiper. "You could have told me," I said quietly. He shrugged. "Didn't think it mattered." But it did. Every screw and smudge mattered. It was like seeing her handwriting suddenly appear on a stranger's desk. The garage light. We didn't speak for a stretch. Ryan fiddled with a socket set. I traced the chipped paint along the driver's door. The light flickered, buzzing in uneven rhythm. My throat felt tight, the way it had at the hospital when the nurse handed me Mom's watch in a plastic bag. "She loved this car," I said. "She loved keeping it spotless," he replied, almost smirking. "You remember how she'd yell if we leaned on it?" "Yeah." She said fingerprints left ghosts. He exhaled through his nose, a small huff that might have been a laugh. "She also said we'd argue ourselves sick after she was gone. Guess she called that one too." That hit harder than I expected. "So you kept it?" I said I'm selling it. "But you haven't." He leaned against the workbench. "You want to know the truth? I didn't get enough offers. People lowballed me, figured I'd restore it, get a better price." "By keeping it in your garage for half a year?" He didn't answer. The hum of the fluorescent filled the space between us. The paper trail. I reached into my jacket and pulled out the envelope I'd brought, the probate documents, folded too many times. "Her name's finally cleared from the title. You'll need to sign to transfer it, assuming you still plan to sell." He looked at the papers, but didn't reach for them. "You always were the bureaucrat." "It's called doing things right." Sure. He grabbed a beer from the mini fridge by the tool chest and cracked it open. You ever think maybe right is just what makes you sleep better? The line stung. Ryan had a way of wrapping defensiveness in philosophy. It used to charm teachers, now it just grated. I think Mom wanted us to be honest, I said. He looked at the car again. Honest, huh? You mean like when you told her you'd visit more often and didn't? The words landed like a socket dropped on concrete, sharp, ringing, impossible to ignore. I felt heat crawl up my neck. That's low. So's implying I'm stealing a car that technically belongs to both of us. She asked us to handle her estate together. I am handling it. You just don't like how. The memory. I stepped back, needing air. The garage door was half open, and outside, the evening light had turned coppery. Dust motes drifted in a narrow beam, landing on the Corolla's hood like a thin layer of forgiveness neither of us deserved. You remember the day she bought it? I asked. He nodded. Dad hated the color. Yeah, said it looked like wet cardboard. Ryan smiled faintly. She said it was practical. Said beige didn't age. We both laughed once, short and awkward. Then silence again. There was so much packed into that car, grocery trips, doctor appointments, Sunday drives when she'd hum along to old Fleetwood Mac CDs. Seeing it here felt like walking into her room after the funeral and finding the bed still warm. Why lie about it? I finally asked. Ryan rubbed his temple. Because you'd have turned it into another debate. You and your forms, your receipts, your proof. Proof keeps people honest. Proof keeps people scared. He took another sip, avoiding my eyes. What's left behind? I should have left right then. But curiosity, or maybe guilt, made me walk around the car. The trunk keyhole was taped over with blue painter's tape. What's in there? I asked. Junk. Mom's or yours? Does it matter? Yes. He sighed, set down the beer, and popped the trunk. The hinges squeaked. Inside were cardboard boxes, labeled in her looping handwriting. Photos, recipes, bills, 2018 to 2020. I felt something twist in my chest. You said you cleaned everything out. I couldn't throw them away. That's not the same as keeping them secret. He slammed the trunk harder than needed. You think grief's a checklist, Ev? You think you file it and move on? I think you lied. Then add that to your spreadsheet. For a long second, neither of us moved. The compressor clicked again, restarting with that same metallic cough. It startled a few papers loose inside the trunk, fluttering like startled birds before settling. I picked up one sheet, a faded service invoice with Mom's signature at the bottom. Under it, a note in pen. Remind Ryan to change the oil before winter. I looked up. She wrote this last November. He met my eyes. Yeah, she knew she wouldn't make it through winter. That quiet admission softened something in me, but not enough to erase the lie. The driveway. When I stepped outside, night had settled. My truck's windshield was speckled with sawdust from the yard next door. Ryan followed me halfway down the driveway. You gonna tell the lawyer I kept it? He asked. I don't know yet. She's gone, Ev. Let the damn car go. I turned to him. You're the one who couldn't. He didn't answer. The motion light flicked again, catching the dust in the air like snowfall. I drove home with the window cracked, that smell of oil and vanilla air freshener still clinging to my jacket. Halfway down Maple Avenue, I realized I hadn't given him the paperwork. The envelope sat on the passenger seat, unopened. I told myself I'd mail it in the morning, but I also knew I'd be back, maybe to see if he really meant to sell it, maybe just to start a conversation we'd both avoided since the funeral. Whatever truth sat behind that garage door wasn't done with us yet. The next morning started with a smell I hated: burnt toast and cheap coffee. Not because of the taste, but because it meant I'd been thinking too hard the night before to prep anything decent. When I overthink, I forget to eat. When I forget to eat, I wake up angry at everything from the toaster to the sun. It was a Thursday, 6:28, light pushing through the kitchen blinds in those skinny, dusty stripes. The house was too quiet. I live alone, so that shouldn't bother me. But after Mom died, there was this new kind of quiet, like hospitals at dawn, like waiting rooms where no one wants to cough first. I poured coffee, scrolled my phone for no reason, then set the probate envelope on the table like it was some kind of hostage. I should have just mailed it. Instead, I sat there staring at it, replaying Ryan's face in the garage. Not the lie that I knew how to handle. People lie to make grief more manageable. It was the look when I opened the trunk and saw her handwriting, that flash of protectiveness, possessiveness even. He wasn't just keeping the car, he was keeping her. And he'd decided I didn't get an equal share of that. The call I didn't want to make. By 7:15, I'd talked myself into calling Linda Boyer, the probate attorney handling Mom's estate. Not because I wanted to report Ryan, but because I wanted to hear, in an actual adult voice, what legally counted as mishandling. It's one thing to call your brother out, it's another to drag the state into it. I dialed from the kitchen, cradling the phone between shoulder and ear, flipping the envelope flap open and closed. She picked up on the second ring. Law Office of Boyer and Trent, this is Linda. Morning, Linda. It's Evan Cole. Oh, Evan, how are you holding up? That tone attorneys use when their work is mostly death-adjacent, professional sympathy, neat and folded. I'm okay, I lied. Got a quick question about Mom's vehicle. The Toyota? Yeah, I thought it was sold to help cover hospice. Pause, papers rustling. That's what your brother indicated in his email back in June. Right. Well, I stopped by his place yesterday and it's still there. Longer pause. I see. I'm not trying to start World War III, I said quickly, because I could already hear her gearing up for the family dispute script. I just want to know, if something from the estate was supposed to be liquidated and it wasn't, and one sibling is holding it, what's the right way to handle that? She sighed, not annoyed, more like, here we go, the part where the brothers fight over something under 15 grand. Evan, the vehicle is listed as shared property between you and Mr. Ryan Cole. If one heir retains it, there should be documentation of either a buyout or proof of sale or joint agreement to hold. I don't have any of that. Because he didn't tell me. Then technically, no, that's not compliant. I chewed the inside of my cheek. Is it criminal? Not at that stage. It's just not transparent. Not transparent. That was a polite way of saying your brother pulled a fast one. I can reach out to him, she offered, but that tends to escalate. I pictured Ryan getting a call from a lawyer because of me. Him pacing in that garage, jaw flexing, saying, "You couldn't just talk to me like a person." No, I said. Let me handle it. All right, but you should document everything. Emails are better than calls. Got it. Anything else? Yeah, I said, before my common sense stopped me. Was there any note in her file about the car being sentimental property? Something she wanted, I don't know, preserved? Another shuffle of papers. Nothing formal, just the standard divide belongings equally between sons. Not what I wanted to hear. Okay, thanks. When I hung up, the kitchen felt smaller. The envelope sat in front of me like proof I was right. But being right didn't make me feel better. Because here's the part nobody tells you. If you prove someone wrong about your dead mother's stuff, You don't win. You just make the after feel longer. My sister-in-law, who isn't one. I didn't tell you about Tara yet. She's not technically my sister-in-law because she and Ryan never actually got married. On paper, Ryan has commitment issues. In life, he has Tara. She's been around for 7 years, on and off. Works part-time at a dental office, does nails on the side, has a daughter from a previous relationship who's in high school now. She calls Mom Maureen, not Mom, but she's the kind of person who brings deviled eggs to every family thing, so Mom liked her. Tara texted me at 9:30. Tara, you came by last night? I stared at the screen. Of course he told her. Or she saw my truck. Me. Yeah. Dropped something off. 3 dots. Then, Tara. You mad about the car? I drummed my fingers on the counter. I could lie. Or I could do the thing I claim I always want. Honesty. Me. Little bit. Yeah. Tara. It's not what you think. Me. What is it then? No reply for a minute. Then, Tara. He's not selling it 'cause of your mom. Not 'cause of wasa. He's stuck. Just talk to him. Not, lawyer, froze. She already knew I'd think about lawyers. That annoyed me. That meant Ryan and she'd had this convo before. Me. I talked to her. Just asked a question. This time the dots stayed longer. Tara. Please don't make him feel like a thief. He's not stealing from you. He just doesn't want to let go yet. There it was. Let go. Like grief had a release button and he was hogging it. 3. Work, aka the place I pretend I don't have a field. I had service calls booked from 10 to 4, wall-mounted unit in a strip mall, then 2 residential AC tune-ups, then 1 emergency call for a restaurant whose walk-in freezer had started behaving like a sauna. Work usually pulls me out of my head. Ducts don't lie. Airflow is either there or it's not. You can measure pressure, you can test for leaks, you can show a customer a reading and say, this is what it is. People aren't like that. At my second stop, Mrs. Harper, a widow in her late 60s, offered me lemonade while I hosed out her condenser. Her living room smelled like lemon pledge and old books. On the mantel was a flat flag framed. I knew that smell, that quiet. Your mother living there? She asked out of nowhere, watching me from the porch. No, ma'am. Past this spring. Oh, honey. She winced like I'd said I'd cut my hand. You got siblings? 1 brother. Close? I hesitated. Working on it. She nodded like she knew exactly what that meant. When parents go, kids show their bones. What? Who they really are, she said. The kind one stays kind, the lazy one stays lazy, and the one that holds on to every picture, every spoon, every scrap. He don't change either. You just finally see it. I thought about telling her everything right there on her porch. My brother said he sold our mom's car and didn't. He's got it sitting like some shrine in his garage, and I don't know if I'm mad because he lied, or mad because maybe I couldn't do it too. But I didn't. I just said, yeah, I'm seeing it. On the drive to my next call, I replayed her words. The one that holds on. Grief looks different on everybody. On me, it looked like lists and forms and clean divisions. On Ryan, it looked like a dusty Corolla in a too small garage. The old text. Thread. Around 2:30, sitting in my truck between jobs, I did the thing you shouldn't do when you miss someone. I opened our last family group thread. Mom plus Evan plus Ryan. The last message from her was 2 days before she died. Mom, remember to cancel my Yipuee. No sense paying after. And then Mom. Also, the car is paid off, So you boys decide who needs it more. Don't fight. You know how I hate that. I stared at it so long the words blurred. You boys decide who needs it more. Not sell it. Not split it immediately. Decide. She trusted that we'd